Hello friends, welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be a what I ate in a day and how I exercised in a day on the MyWW plan. If you've watched these videos before, you'll know that I film a day of eating and then I sit down the next day to be able to share with you, reflect with you, tell you what I thought about the recipes, and at the very end of this video, I will include a screenshot of all of the points laid out that I ate throughout the day and also the activity that I did as shown on my Apple Watch, Apple Fitness monitor. For a bit of context for this video, a couple days ago I posted a grocery haul, and in that I mentioned that I have been on the MyWW Blue plan for a number of years now, and I decided I wanted to shake things up a little bit for the next few weeks, couple months, and switch over to the green plan. I just felt like maybe trying some new things and, I don't know, just sort of kickstarting myself a little bit again. I also decided to have a bit more of a plant-based focus this week. Now, I will say, as I said in that video, I am not plant-based, I am not vegetarian, I'm not vegan, I don't eat any specific kind of diet, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to cut down on some animal products. I did used to be vegetarian for a number of years, and what I did from this day that I will be showing you is I tried 3 recipes from this Forks Over Knives magazine. This was sort of at a cottage that I went and stayed in, so I was able to take this and, I don't know, I thought I would try some of the recipes. Another thing to mention, what I will do is screenshot the recipes from the magazine and put those on the screen so that you can pause if you're interested in perhaps making the same recipe. I'll mention as well that there's sort of a whole ethos that goes along with this Forks Over Knives thing. They are plant-based, but also very like anti-processed food in any way, so they don't really use like olive oil because they consider oil to be a highly processed food. So this isn't necessarily just plant-based or vegan. This also has some other things wrapped up in it. And my final disclaimer, God, there's a lot of disclaimers for today's video, I apologize, is when I show you this day, it is going to be like 95% vegan and like plant-based. Except for one item that I will point out through the day that had some milk products in it. So it's vegetarian, but not vegan or plant-based, but there are vegan plant-based recipes I'll be making. Got it? Okay, that was a lot. We'll start out with my coffee for the day. I have been having my coffee lately with some sweetener. I will sometimes use Equal, or on this day I used my caramel pecan skinny syrup. And then I've also been using the Silk unsweetened vanilla almond milk. I have 2 big mugs of coffee and I put about 1/4 cup of the almond milk into each one, and 1/2 cup of almond milk. This specific almond milk is 0 points, so my coffee was 0 points on this day. Let's get into breakfast, which is the berry stuffed breakfast sweet potatoes. Here is my breakfast. It is a baked sweet potato topped with all kinds of delicious things. So let's go through this. It is 4 points for the half of a baked potato. I actually measured it out in grams so that I would get it proper. And then I take out some of the flesh of that sweet potato and mash it up with 1/2 tablespoon of almond butter for 1 point, a tiny drizzle of maple syrup, which I counted as 0 because it wasn't even 1/2 teaspoon, and a little bit of salt. So that all gets mashed up together and then put back into the sweet potato. And then on top of that, there are berries for 0 points. There is 1.5 tablespoons of flaked oats, which were toasted up for a little bit in a dry pan. That is 1 point. And then it is topped with 1/2 tablespoon of hemp hearts, again for 1 point. So this ends up being a 7-point breakfast. 4 points for the potato, 1 for the hemp seeds, 1 for the oats, and 1 for the almond butter. So I'm looking forward to trying this, and as always, I will be back to tell you how it tasted after I have it. I thought this breakfast was pretty successful. I loved the combination of almond butter mashed together with that sweet potato with that tiny little bit of maple syrup in it. That was delicious. And it was really nice having the extra texture and crunch from the hemp hearts and the toasted oatmeal flakes. So I thought that was really delicious. Now, I would have liked having a little bit more of the almond butter, which would add more points. But one thing I was thinking is you could use like a little bit of the almond butter and then also some PB Fit, because it tends to be low in points, to get more of that nutty taste throughout the sweet potato, with maybe only adding 1 more point. For me, I found that I didn't love having the berries with it. It just sort of added a different kind of texture that to me didn't play super well with the sweet potato. So if I was doing this again, I'm going to because I'm going to be having this for the week, I would likely do the potato without the berries and then have a side of berries or have an apple on the side or a banana on the side for some fruit because I don't know, just for me, those flavors and textures didn't jive so much. Now, as part of my exercise for the day, I did end up going to the gym in my building. What I tend to do is do a warm up for 10 or 15 minutes on my Peloton bike that I have here in my unit because I can only go to the gym for 45 minutes. We do book it right now so that you're the only person in the condo gym at the time. So I do a warm up on my Peloton, I go down to the gym and I did do some weightlifting. I have basically 3 days of weight training that I do and then I cycle through them. So the day here was back and tricep day. When I came back from the gym, I was feeling a little tired. I wanted to get some protein, and I was a little concerned looking at the recipes for the day that I wasn't going to be getting a huge amount of protein. So the one non-plant-based vegetarian thing that I had was I did make myself a protein coffee. I had a caramel premier protein for 2 points, and then had that on ice with a little bit of Javi coffee microdose coffee concentrate in there to give it that coffee flavor because I did just want to have some extra protein in my day. But if you leave this out, the entire rest of the day was plant-based. For my lunch, I decided to make pineapple coleslaw. It is very veggie-based. It's basically shredded cabbage, shredded carrot. It's got pineapple in there, and then the coleslaw sauce is made from, or dressing, I guess is the proper word, is made from blended silken tofu together with lemon juice. They call for some cane sugar. I didn't put any sugar into it. A little bit of cayenne pepper, and then thinning it out with a little bit of the juice from the pineapple. So let me show you what it looked like. Here is my lunch. Did I put the tray on the floor to get a better angle and some light? Yes, I did. But here we go. I don't know why I thought I was going to be able to eat the whole recipe of the coleslaw. That is half of it there, and that is a huge bowl. I originally thought I was going to make like a couple of corn tortillas to wrap the coleslaw up in, but I decided just to toast in my air fryer a couple of corn tortillas and make myself some chips for 3 points. So the coleslaw ends up being 1 point just from the tofu that is blended into the sauce, and then the 3 points for the tortillas. So the thing about the coleslaw is that it is definitely not a meal unto itself. And to be fair, they don't claim it to be a meal unto itself. It is a very, very refreshing coleslaw. Because the main flavor that you get is that pineapple, it's really bright. If you have brought this to like a picnic and it was nice and cold on a hot day, it would be super refreshing. It doesn't really get a creaminess at all from the tofu. And actually, I thought that was where there was a little bit of a drawback, is when I blended the tofu, I expected it initially to have a creamier texture, partly because in the recipe they say to thin it out with a bit of pineapple juice. So I did put in some pineapple juice before really noticing the texture of it. So I did make the dressing too thin. If I was to make this again, I might not even add any pineapple to the dressing itself. So I found that I really did need to have the toasted tortilla with this because it actually made it feel like it had some kind of substance to it. This would be a lovely coleslaw on the side of like a sandwich of some kind. It really should be just a nice refreshing side dish. And finally, for dinner, I chose to make a recipe called pasta salad with a secret. Let's get into that. Here is a pasta salad that I made for dinner. It has fusilli in there, as well as cauliflower to sort of bulk it out a little bit, and green peas. It also has some chopped up celery and red onion, and the dressing on it is made from cashews that have been soaked and blended, along with some lemon juice, some nutritional yeast, and some almond milk, and some Dijon mustard. I probably should have made the dressing a little runnier, but after the dressing I made for my coleslaw at lunch was a little too runny, I kind of went in the other direction. So this is actually supposed to be served in lettuce cups, but honestly, guys, I'm just like super tired, and I did not feel like washing and drying all the lettuce just to have lettuce cups. So this is a pretty good sized bowl of pasta. So I'm looking forward to having it for dinner, and I think it's going to be very filling. And if you're wondering what's on top, I put a little bit of paprika on there to finish it. But of course it will all get mixed in before I eat it. So while this pasta salad was fine, I didn't find that it had as much flavor as I wanted. And part of that could have been because, as I mentioned in the video, I probably should have added more almond milk to the dressing to thin it out a bit more so it would sort of be more creamy through the pasta salad. But even then, I didn't find it had a huge amount of flavor. I thought there'd be more like cashew flavor, but because the cashews weren't like roasted or salted or anything, there wasn't a huge amount of flavor from them. This entire recipe, if you make it for 4 servings as I did, each serving is 12 points. So it's kind of up there in points. And to me, this is where I think there's a bit of a drawback from some of these recipes being so against processed food, because blending up that half cup of cashews to make this recipe, it was a lot of points. I think the cashews themselves were like 12 points in this recipe. And for me, if I was eating, a vegan diet, I would probably use those 12 points to use veganese in the pasta salad to get that nice creamy mayonnaise-y kind of taste to it while still being vegan. I find that the process of blending up the cashews to make it was just a lot of work for specifically avoiding having a processed type of food. And I don't specifically, I try to eat like whole fruits and veggies and grains and like good proteins, but I don't avoid processed food. And I feel like the drawback of some of these recipes in this Forks Over Knives cookbook is that they are trying so hard to avoid processed foods and oils that you lose some of the flavor in it. So I think if you are somebody who is vegan or plant-based, there are better recipes than this if you just let yourself sort of not have so many restrictions on the kinds of food that you eat, while still not eating any animal products. And finally, I didn't do a screenshot of this because this was totally an end of night thing while I was watching TV. I ended up having a tablespoon of almond butter just on a spoon. I think I just wanted something a little more fatty and satiating at the end of the night. So this was a 28-point day. I was able to bank 2 points. I've mentioned before I like banking points on days where I am eating at home and in control of all the food, because I have been doing more things of going out and having beers and food with friends, and I like to have some extra points plus my weekly points available for those days. I did end up reaching my 500 exercise calories burn that I track on my Apple Watch, mostly through the biking that I did before I did the weightlifting, and then also just through walking through the day. I do intentionally try to get 10,000 steps or more through the day. So that was my day of eating. Please let me know if you enjoy these days of eating where I'm trying out new recipes or trying out new like types of diets, while also showing you what it is on the Weight Watchers plan. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you're not yet subscribed and you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Stay tuned to the end for all the points on the screen, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!